Well, our very first DCU Green Lantern has landed. Earlier today, we got an update on who's going to play the small screen Hal Jordan, and it's not one of the names on the list, but it's still a pretty impressive casting. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about Kyle Chandler and his role as Hal Jordan. Well, I have to say, when you start hearing reports and lists of names, they start to set expectations. And although this name was not on the rather huge list, which included Josh Brolin, Ewan McGregor, and Chris Pine, it appears James Gunn and the DCU have found their Green Lantern. Now, according to multiple reports, Kyle Chandler is now set to take up the role of Hal Jordan in the new DCU series. Now, Chandler has a huge history on television, and quite honestly, is a pretty well-established actor. He's probably most famous for his parts on Bloodline, Catch-22, and Friday Night Lights. And honestly, I'm not really too disappointed in this casting. This is not a name that was on my radar, but Chandler has a certain amount of, well, swagger that is absolutely needed to play Hal Jordan. Now, we've heard for a while that this version of Hal Jordan is going to be a little bit older than his younger recruit, John Stewart, who is yet to be cast. And honestly, the coach energy that Chandler carries and really brought to the forefront in Friday Night Lights is, well, perfect for Hal Jordan teaching, bringing this new recruit under his wing. I suspect James Gunn and the whole crew behind the Green Lantern series took a lot of time and care choosing this role. Hal Jordan is really the face of the Green Lantern for most fans. Obviously, there's been a lot of people carry the ring, but when you ask most fans who the Green Lantern is, 8 out of 10 times they'll tell you it's Hal Jordan, and pretty much all the remainder will be fans of the old Justice League cartoon and immediately go to John Stewart. So nailing this casting is super, super important. Now, behind the scenes, the show itself is still coming together at a lot of developmental levels. We still have not got a casting for the younger John Stewart part, but there's also, like last time, several names being kicked around. We do know the series has Emmy Award-winning Lost and Watchmen creator David Lindelof working on the pilot script, along with Ozark showrunner Chris Mundy and the legendary comic book writer Tom King. Now, we're also hearing that Stephen Williams, who worked on Lost, Watchmen, and Westworld, is currently in talks to direct the pilot, with Lucy Chinook rumored to be in negotiations to helm an undisclosed number of episodes. We also know Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner is going to appear at some point in the film and serve as a supporting role, but all of these details are still a bit up in the air. I think this is great news for Green Lantern fans. We haven't had a live-action version of Hal Jordan since Ryan Reynolds took up the part way back in 2011, over 13 years ago. Chandler is a great pick for this part, and although he doesn't have that mainstream presence, he does have the right energy for this version of Hal Jordan, and I'm really curious how many episodes and how long he's going to be tied to the show. Now, we're going to follow Green Lantern pretty closely. I suspect with Hal Jordan being announced, John Stewart is right around the corner, and hopefully some additional casting news might give us some ideas of what's going to go on in the series. We do know it's a murder mystery set in the heartland of America, meaning these two space cops are going to have a very terrestrial adventure, although if I'm making any guesses, the villain will eventually be revealed as some sort of outer space entity, and we'll definitely have some pretty awesome space battles between the Lanterns and whoever they face off with. Who that turns out to be, well, we're going to have to wait and see.